there, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about Hansel and Gretel films, which there are more than you think, and there's actually quite a few good ones. Now I'm going to go through three of them. I'll go by levels of excellence. How's that? So these are all from this century, so I'm not going way back to Hansel and Gretel. All of this century. So with Gretel and Hansel, which is the best of the bunch. This was a German 4K, which you can't really get. It's hard to get that film unless you buy it in a foreign country. Hansel and Gretel is an Asian film, and you've got Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, which is a tacky American film. I enjoyed all three of these films, but you can enjoy films, but some are better than others. Right, so the Gretel and Hansel one, yeah, this is like, you can get this in like HD here, but you can't get it 4K unless you buy it, and basically from Germany, which I did obviously. But this is a wonderful film. This is a full-on near masterpiece. I've only seen it once, so I can't say full-on masterpiece until I've seen it again. But this is a stunner. This is just Oz Perkins directed it. And Sophia Ellis is the lead actress, who you've probably seen in a bunch of stuff like It and Dungeons and Dragons. She's excellent in this film. Basically, the idea is they reach a house when they're starving and they see food laid out from through a window. They manage to open a window and Hansel goes through, and as he goes through, a woman appears by Alice Cridge, who's been in lots of films playing scary women. She's that kind of face. She's a terrific actress, and like Gretel manages to get in, and it turns out this woman, who is the witch, says, "Oh no, I didn't mean to scare you. Come in, I'll feed you, and I'll let you sleep here tonight." Because obviously you are famished and terrified. So she does that, and then after the next day she says, "You can stay here if you want to do chores." And because Gretel wants to do stuff like that to make sure she's not like imposing, slowly they stay, and the witch starts to show Hansel and Gretel things to improve themselves. Now she sees Gretel as a potential other witch, as someone who can join their sisterhood, and the story goes from there. Basically, is like, will Gretel become evil, or will she protect her brother? And that's the kind of tension that goes through the film. I don't want to go further into the plot here because it's an excellent film and you want to discover it on your own, like what's going on. Like, you know, because she is the witch, you know from the start she is a witch. It's the details of the seduction into who she's trying to do with Gretel, and what she wants to do with Hansel, and what's happened to other people here, and all the various details. And what's great about this film is the design. It's very simple. It's designed with a kind of an eye towards iconography, but simplicity. It's not like when Hansel and Gretel were children in the fairy story, it was like a candy house, really. This one is not. It's a normal house, but it's almost church-like, and there's an air of religiosity to it that's interesting. And there's just a sense of there's other things you can't see in this house that are below the surface that you're slowly going to find out as the film goes on. There's a sense of simplicity to the acting and the design, but below that there's much more complicated feelings that are not simple one thing or the other. And even the design in the early part of the world, part of the real world, is done with lots of colours and lots of sense of, you know, the world's gone mad. Like there's no stability, and the place they're trying to go to, the woods been told about, is almost like the idea of this idealistic simplicity of this civility they'll eventually find in the world that you never see evidence of in this film. and it just works extremely well. Again, I've seen this on the projector, and I think it's one of the things. The bigger the screen, the better for this film. It's just got it's trying to evoke like emotions that are complicated, but without like overdoing it with explanation. It's how someone looks some way, how someone reacts to something is more important than a lot of what is said. And a lot of it is like, what's the person doing to themselves really, and what do they want, and what do they see of the world, and what do they think of the world. That's what's more important, and what do they see within these different landscapes of like architecture and the way the world's organised. And that's what Gretel in this film is trying to figure out. Like, where does she fit in the world? Is this idealised thing I'm going to, is this good for her or bad for her? What's this woman's story? Like, the woman doesn't tell her that much about where she came from. But there's dream sequences that elaborate things a lot more, but don't specify things for a very long time. You have to, and it's getting teased out. But by non-specific, it means you can also attach it to what's going through Gretel's head at the same time. So it's complicated. So it's a wonderful film, it really is, and it has a satisfying conclusion, but it's only an hour and a half long, so it keeps the pacing up and keeps the clarity going. I've heard some people complain it's too long. I don't get that at all. It's just like it feels the proper length, but it is paced like a silent film in lots of ways. There is talk and scenes, but it's paced like an older movie, but from the silent era, which I think might put people off because you have to adjust the way you look at a film. If you're expecting a modern film with lots of instant, this doesn't have that. It's about how you interpret it, how you see things that are been shown on screen, and you have to think about them as they go on. So, Gretel and Hansel, highly recommended. Try not know that much about it. And what I've told you is as much as you need to know, really, and as much you can probably guess from the trailers and things, but you should try and discover it on your own. Right, now we have Hansel and Gretel from Asia. This film did not do well on release. I expected it to do well, but it didn't really get anywhere, which is a real shame because it's a wonderful film. It's not on the same level as Gretel and Hansel for me, but it's still wonderful. I saw this the day after Gretel and Hansel, so it was quite a mix of Hansel and Gretel films. This one is about a guy who is travelling. He's having an argument with his girlfriend when he's in a car accident, and then he basically finds himself in the forest, and he's led to a house by this young girl, and within the house are a family. You've got the adults, the two adults, you've got the mother and father, and you've got these three children. You've got the older child, who's a boy, then the slightly middle child, who's a girl who led him there, and the young girl. And he thinks he can't leave. No matter what he tries, he cannot leave. And then the two adults disappear. And also at the same time, he sees the children are only eating candy. They're not eating anything else but candy. And they seem attached to him, but they're not going to let him leave. And the young man, the young boy, he gets angry easily if when this guy wants to leave, he gets angry about him. And it becomes this thing of no matter what he does, he cannot leave. And you're getting day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and this sense of time passing. And then into this situation comes these other two people, this man and woman. One of them says the past, and then is his wife, who's obviously greedy. And they're suspect, but they also come in, and they also have a crash nearby, and it's a sense of people are coming here, and does anyone ever leave, and what's going on with these children? Because the children are nice children, but there's a sense of threat to them that's quite scary, and so what's actually going on with them. Obviously, the forest is supernatural in some way, but how do you get out of it? How do you get out of it with these children who are needy but potentially violent? And no matter what they do, not even if you got a map to leave, it won't work. Eventually, the situation evolves, and you find out much more about what happened to the children. You find out much more what's happened to this guy as well, and why he needs to leave so urgently. And there's just this sense of there's just life's more complicated than the fairy story is what you get from this. Again, it's a wonderful film. I don't want to explain what happens, because I guess it's much more like the experience of watching it is wonderful, and you really ought to try and give this one a shot because it is wonderful. The kind of revelations are very nicely done and are disturbing, but they're satisfying in a story sense. Is like, yeah, this makes sense of what we've seen all around. It's like, it feels like it's been a worked out world, a worked out story. The acting's terrific, especially the kids. Your kid actors can be hit and miss, but these kids all work really well, and they've all gone on to be actors, grown-up actors as well. It all just works. It's one of those things that just works. There's a nice atmosphere to it. It's a constant sense of threat. The supernatural stuff is done with imagination, but also tied to a childish viewpoint as well. So it's just wonderful. Really, I would highly recommend it. Go try and get it. 88 films in Britain you can get it from. It's wonderful. Finally, we have the brash American Hansel and Gretel. Even though it was shot in Europe and a European director who came up with the script and idea, it was funded by the studios in America. Has one American lead, one British lead, and it's a lot of fun. It's easily the least of these films. There's not even a suggestion otherwise. But it is silly fun. It's one of those films you can happily rewatch because it's a monster movie. Hansel and Gretel grow up after escaping the evil witch and then chucking her into the fire and escaping. Instead of just disappearing, they become witch hunters. And you see in the pre-credit, and during the credit sequence, you get pre-credit, you get an original fairy story. During the credit sequence, you get their adventures. And the interesting thing is, in this one, Gretel was also the more dominant sibling. Hansel feels the younger sibling, and so he lets her take charge a lot, which is unusual for a film back from an American studio. But you see them as a team to do this one situation, this town where there's witches have been kidnapping the children, and the mayor has called them in, to the disgust of the sheriff, who's about to hang a witch and is annoyed that they stopped the witch being hanged. And basically it's a big colourful romp of action scenes with them fighting witches. So you've got Jimmy Arterton as Gretel as the lead, as the person in charge, and Jeremy Renner as Hansel, who's basically the kind of enforcer. He's the kind of guy who does the shooting and stuff more. They both can do the action, but he's more of the kind of doer, the guy who gets beaten up a lot and things like that. But he's also the kind of sensitive one who sleeps by her bed and has an insulin problem because of the details of what happened. And basically it's about those two trying to save these kids. That's all you need to know, really. You have giant monsters, you have crazy witches who come in and attack the town. You've got a good witch who's trying to help them. You've got a young guy who's a fanboy of them, has all the clippings of what they've done in the past, and he's like he wants to be part of the team. And, it's fun. It's a big, stupid action movie based on fairy stories. That's it. You have Famke Jensen as a lead witch who they're trying to kill. They get split up for a while and both go off to their own stories and figure out what's going on. And it just works as a silly, big silly action movie. That's all it is. That's all it's trying to be. It's just silliness. It all leads back to why the parents abandoned them, and it turns out the Vampire Jensen was the original witch who they burnt, and she's out for revenge. And it's silly. The acting is okay for what it is. I mean, you can tell that Jeremy Renner is there for the paycheck. This was after he'd had his Oscar nomination, and he's trying. He's doing stuff, but the character's kind of weird. Like his character's sometimes an action hero, sometimes very sensitive, and I don't think it's written very clearly. Sometimes I think it needs a bit more definition, but he's game for the big silliness, and Jim Ampton's probably the most successful of the two because she's got a more defined part, which helps. So she's the kind of bossy big sister type of thing, and again, she works perfectly fine. The supporting characters work fine, but it is a far lesser film than the other two Hansel and Gretel films. It just is. There's nothing. There's no subtext to this. There's no anything, and everything's pulpy on the level of what you expect. It's in and out in 90 minutes, and it's fun. I mean, it's rewatchable, and it's just really silly. It's one of the better of the silly. There was quite a lot of like action mythical movies during this time, and this is one of the better ones because it knows it's silly and has such a sense of humour. So these are the three Hansel and Gretel films. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you go and watch them because they are worth your time. Okay, that's me for now. Bye.